morning, you're watching Estuary News. I'm Hugh Riches. In the headlines tonight, a man is sentenced after pleading guilty to attempted rape and 2 sexual assaults in Skegness. Lincolnshire Fire and Rescue Service issues a warning on the effects of cold water shock, and a Hull-based charity turns 30. And later in tonight's programme, I'll be talking to our very own Luke Adams with the latest from the local arts scene. And before that, Dr Emma Wolverson on her dementia research achievement. A man has been sentenced to more than 3 years after pleading guilty to attempted rape and 2 sexual assaults in Skegness. Shams Mahmood was arrested in October and remanded in custody until admitting the offences at Lincoln Crown Court. The court heard how he committed 3 offences against women he'd never met or seen before. These included sexually assaulting a woman on Drummond Road before fleeing when challenged by members of the public, and attempting to rape a woman on Beresford Avenue. He was given 3 years and 10 months in prison. Huge cranes have begun work to demolish Grimsby's 6 East Marsh high-rise tower blocks. Nelson House is the first block to go, followed by Garibaldi House and Thesiger House. Tennyson House, Albion House and Bevan House will follow later in the year. Lincolnshire Housing Partnership, which owns the flats, is working with the local authority to seek views on a new use for the site. Work will be complete in November. A Liberal Democrat councillor in North East Lincolnshire has been sharing his thoughts on the new proposed Grimsby Town Stadium. Councillor Steve Besant, who represents the East Marsh ward in Grimsby, says the Greatcoats area would be the best location for the development. However, North East Lincolnshire Council chose Peaks Parkway as the preferred option last year, and that is currently being pursued. Mr Besant shared his views as part of a BBC Radio Humberside debate on Tuesday, which also featured the leader of North East Lincolnshire Council, Councillor Ray Oxby, Conservative Opposition Group leader Philip Jackson and Tony Blake from UKIP.
And no, it's a desperate issue to need a new stadium. No two question about that. What I did and what my fellow colleagues in my ward did, we got out on the streets. We asked the residents what they want. We had over 1,000 responses returned. And I can tell you quite clearly that the response was no to Peaks Parkway, no to Freeman Street area. They want to see it in the Greatcoats area. In the Greatcoats, the original proposal, we had the chance a few years back to put it there. A lot better position. The Fire Brigade, otherwise known as Lincolnshire Fire and Rescue Service, has warned people to be aware of the risks of going into the water. Specially trained firefighters from Lincoln North Station carried out a training exercise at Brayford Water in Lincoln to demonstrate the effects of cold water shock, which causes several fatalities every year. They say they're called out at least once a month to an incident where someone has got into difficulty in the Brayford rivers. Crew manager Steve Crane said cold water can affect breathing, reducing muscle ability, and even lead to a heart attack. There will be travel disruption across our region next month as members of the RMT union are walking out again for 24 hours in a long-running dispute over the role of train guards. The union says proposals to modernise services are unsafe. Northern Rail services in Grimsby, Scunthorpe, Cleethorpes and Lincoln will be affected, and the strike is on the 9th of May. A children's charity in Hull is celebrating its 30th birthday. Kids Yorkshire and the Humber is based on Charterlands Avenue and supports more than 1,000 disabled children and young people a year. Our reporter Jack Muscat brings us the story.
The Hull branch of a national children's charity is celebrating its 30th birthday this year. Kids Yorkshire and the Humber, based on Chancellor's Avenue, has been supporting disabled children and their parents for the past 3 decades. I went along to the Kids Centre to find out more about the work they do.
We are a pan-disability charity, so we work with any disability, and that makes us a little bit special. So we support the child, young people and the whole family through the transitions from childhood right through to 25 adulthood. We provide positive play, learning opportunities, training for parents, a whole sort of wrap-round service for the whole family that supports not only the child but the parents and the siblings as well.
In terms of special educational needs, national statistics suggest that about 20% of children at any time could have a special educational need. In terms of those with most complex needs, it's lower, but locally we support over 1,000 children a year at Kids, so just in this area. In terms of a national charity, I think we're quite unique in that everything we do is around children with disabilities and special education needs and their families, so that is our real area of expertise. And I think most people that work or volunteer here have a real passion to help. So that's what drives them, wanting to help the families.
In the 30 years since the charity was set up, Kids have supported thousands of young children with disabilities and special educational needs. As with all charities though, volunteers are always needed to provide a helping hand.
There's a training course that we start with. Befrienders are paired up to another parent who has a child with a similar disability, so it's like a buddy system. They become, the befriender befriends the family and talks about experiences and helps the person whose child has maybe just recently been diagnosed. This is all done with volunteers. Other types of volunteering is within some of the sessions, but from a fundraising point of view, volunteers are really good to have for things like bucket collections, to do any events that we run throughout the year to help us, because at the moment it's me as a sole fundraiser, which is really challenging.
We know there's a whole need out there of other support services that realistically local authorities can no longer afford to commission, but there's still a need. So we try to use our voluntary income as effectively as we can to meet that need of the families, so that we try and bridge any gaps.
And with the charity celebrating its 30th year, everyone involved with Kids will be hoping the hard work continues for at least another 30 years to come. Jack Muscat, Estuary News.
Memorabilia to aid dementia patients has been stolen from the fracture clinic at Hull Royal Infirmary. Staff set up the memory area based on a 60s front room to ensure patients living with the condition could feel calm before attending appointments. Items including newspapers dating back to the early 1900s, books with old photographs of Hull, and a teapot and a cosy have been stolen. Hospital staff bought the memorabilia with their own money. A clinical psychologist has been nominated for a prestigious research award for her contribution to dementia research. Dr Emma Wolverson from Humber NHS Foundation Trust and Hull University joins me now to tell me more. Emma, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you very much for having me.
After that horrible story about stuff being stolen from dementia patients, this is a rather happier one, isn't it?
Yes.
Congratulations on this nomination for the award. What is the award?
The award is for research leaders. It's a national award for people involved in dementia care research. So I'm absolutely thrilled to be nominated.
And who's giving the award, as it were?
It's the Alzheimer's Society.
When will you know?
It's in May, 22nd of May. We've been the people that have been shortlisted have been invited down to London, and the award will be presented at their annual conference.
So it's going to be a bit of a hoolie.
Yes.
I know what psychologists with a glass inside them, I know what they're like. So that's absolutely wonderful. I hope you get it. How many people are you competing with for this?
I'm not sure how many have got it down to a shortlist. It was a national award, so they always get a lot of applications, but the shortlist, well, they're paying for us to go, so there won't be that many, I wouldn't have thought.
I'm sure you're right. Now, it's a recognising your research. What has your research revealed?
Well, it's a range of research, really, that I've carried out over the 10 years that I've been employed with Humber NHS Trust, and it's been largely looking around how to support people to live well, people with dementia and their families. So it's lots of different projects over the years. The most recent one is looking at designing a website for people living with dementia and their families, so that they can access information when they need it and also get to know other people who are in the same boat and share ideas and resources.
So it's not absolutely necessary when you get this diagnosis that you should really have a decline or a deterioration in your quality of life.
I think the key is trying to keep people as active as possible, enjoying things as much as possible, and in the hobbies and interests that they enjoy, keeping that going is really, really important.
That's very sad that these things have been stolen from the hospital in Hull. We were talking yesterday to a lady who's taking people living with dementia to rugby matches because it's very exciting, lots of noise, lots of stimulation,
Absolutely.
Lots of smells and excitement as well as the game itself, which will remind them of their younger days doing that. Is that a very important thing to keep? To bring people back to memories of when they were younger, to get the old The old brain box working.
Yeah, absolutely. Any reminiscence that can stimulate that sort of past pleasant memories, things we've enjoyed, achievements, celebrating those things, making us feel more like ourselves at a time when we're maybe feeling a bit frightened and a bit out of sorts is really important.
I'm going to risk a frightfully philosophical question since I have a PhD in clinical psychology sitting in front of me. Is dementia a condition of the brain or of the mind?
I think when people think about dementia, they think of the brain, and when we talk about the different diseases that are behind dementia, we think about the brain. But actually, we all have brains, and we're all completely different. And what we're looking at is a whole person, and everybody experiences dementia differently. Everyone has different challenges and different strengths that they bring to it. So we have to look at the whole person and how they live with their dementia, because no two people will be the same.
Anything we can do to avoid it?
Well, not get older.
Well, that's even more grim, isn't it?
The biggest risk factor is ageing. So as we get older, and because we're living longer, that's why we have higher rates of dementia. There are over 100 different types of dementia, and the most common is Alzheimer's disease, and that is a disease, so it's not that fussy about who it affects. But there are other types of dementia, things like vascular dementia, which is to do with the blood supply, and we all know that we can, improve our health and fitness. So I think for all of us,
give up smoking, stop drinking, eat healthy, get more exercise.
I'm afraid it's the usual. Everything you read that's good for your heart is good for your brain, and keeping
Emma,
active is key.
we're going to have to stop there.
Thank
Congratulations.
you very much.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Join me after the break. Jack will bring us a roundup of the latest sports action and the latest from the local art scene with our very own Luke. Welcome back. You're watching SU News. Still to come tonight, Jack brings us a roundup of all the latest sporting action, and our very own Luke joins me with a roundup of the latest from the local art scene. The MP for Beverley and Holderness welcomed confirmation by the Northern Powerhouse Minister, Jake Berry, that the Jocks Lodge junction to the south of Beverley needs improvement. Graham Stewart had written to the Minister in support of a £50 million funding bid to the Department of Transport, but admits it will remain an uphill battle to get funding. The Minister described the junction as a major pinch point and said improvements are necessary to relieve congestion. A Cottingham man has been fined by East Riding Council for dumping rubbish in Willoughby. A child safety gate, picture frames, 7 black bin bags and carrier bags containing household waste were found on the corner of Haggs Lane and Willoughby Low Road in March. Following a report of the fly tipping, a street scene enforcement officer from the council carried out an investigation which traced the waste back to a Cottingham man. He admitted fly tipping the waste and was issued a £400 fixed penalty notice by the authority. East Riding Council has launched new outdoor walking football sessions. They follow the success of previous sessions which have taken place across the county. The groups, in partnership with Hessel Sporting Club, are for people over 50 to enjoy football in a sociable setting. They'll be led by Dom Rhodes from the authority's Sport, Play and Arts Service. He says the games will be low to medium intensity. The sessions are at King George V playing field on Boothferry Road in Hessel every Monday from 11 a.m. And Grimsby Leisure Centre held a sports taster day yesterday. The event is part of Links Inspire's Inspiring Lives programme and aims to help disabled people with their favourite activities. The project brings together Links Inspire's sports and leisure services so that people with any form of disability or impairment can safely enjoy sport and fitness. Ben Frowry, Disabilities Sports Coordinator for Links Inspire, says the event is all about making disabled people feel more included.
Every so often we hold a sports taster day, inclusive sports taster day. It's aimed at people with disabilities, long-term medical conditions, their families, their friends, carers. And the idea is to get them into the centre to look at what we offer through Links Inspire and other organisations we work with, to try and find a pathway to be more active more often. The idea is to bring various different organisations together that deliver sport out in the community or out within our centres, and to showcase some of the work that they do. The idea is to offer a variety of activities. So today we've got things like rebound therapy, adaptive cycles, badminton, table tennis, arts and crafts, gym, tone and sweet swimming, netball. So you can see there's quite a variety of different stuff going on, and we bring together different partners to deliver a day, to try and find something that people can engage with. It's about engaging with different people, whether it's other service users, whether it's actually other organisations coming in, whether it's the sports coaches. Everybody has a part to play, and it's not just about the customers coming in and engaging, it's also about us engaging with the customers to find out what they want as well, and what we can put on and how we can develop the service going forward.
And I'm joined now by our very own Luke with the latest from the local art scene. Luke, welcome. Good to see you.
Good evening, Hugh. How I love my introduction. Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday to you. I know you're not very well, so well done for managing to get in today.
On. Thank you very much.
Let's make progress. Florence and the Machine.
Okay, yes, that's been announced today. The great Florence and the Machine are coming to the Baths Hall in Scunthorpe next week, 6th of May, as part of a very short UK tour. So they're coming there to do some of their great hits, including probably Spectrum's Say My Name, which was released in 2012. That brilliant rendition remix with Calvin Harris.
And it's really just Florence, isn't it? And,
it is actually,
with a backing band.
Yes,
that's
right.
It's not
exactly.
really a band. It's just a particularly talented and rather tall person.
That's it. A very pretty girl she is, Florence.
Yes, indeed she is.
And when I was doing the notes for this year, I didn't actually realise they were formed back in 2007. I didn't realise.
11 years ago. Good Lord. Sounds a while. Okay, so that's Baths Halls in Scunthorpe on Sunday, the 6th of May, for Florence and the Machine. Yeah. Now, do you like Strauss?
I do, and I like opera as well. So there's a good mix of what's going on there. Opera North is going to do a production of Salome. Yes, Hull City Hall, on the 16th of May, Wednesday the 16th. Based on Oscar Wilde, is that right?
Based on Oscar Wilde, based on the New Testament, yeah.
Okay.
It's Herod's daughter, I think, who dances in order to get him to chop John the Baptist's head off, and it is a bit gruesome,
a bit macabre.
It's a bit. Well, I'm sure it won't be gory on the opera stage, but it's a rough old story. Yes, Oscar Wilde wrote this, and Strauss based this on Oscar Wilde's work, and that was illustrated by a chap called Aubrey Beardsley.
Okay.
Back at the turn of the 20th century, wonderful illustrations. Worth seeing them if you've got a chance. Bit rude.
Well, maybe that is why then, because it says here, Hugh, originally performed in Germany in 1905 and was banned in the UK until 1907. Could that be the reason, maybe?
Well, it's sad to think that we're more prudish than the Germans, isn't it?
Absolutely.
But there's lots of very sort of suggestive dancing going on as well, I suspect. Lots of veils.
I think it's worth a trip. I do love the opera.
Okay, good. Well, you must go and tell me what you think of it.
If I do make it, I'll let you know.
A little bit of a change of tone,
Yes, a complete change of tone. An exhibition on the disappearing world, according to the notes, of the laundrette.
Yes, indeed.
So this is at the Creative and Cultural Space in the Princess Key Shopping Centre in Hull, where we have done some reports on some of the great exhibitions which they've been doing there.
They've done some fascinating work.
Which we will probably follow up and go report on in due course.
That opens on Friday the 27th, so that's tomorrow
evening
at 6:30, running to the 25th of May. You hardly ever seen a laundrette these days, do you?
There's a few scattered around in Hull. There's one on Newland Avenue and Annalby Road, but you're absolutely right, they are disappearing, as this exhibition will probably tell us.
They are a cultural disappearance.
Yes.
Art in Barton upon Humber.
Yes, so linking to that then, an artist here by the name of Dale Mackey, Cleethorpes born. He's having his premiere exhibition at the Baysgarth House Museum in Barton. And it's called Steel Land Sea, which brings together his work which focuses on Scunthorpe Steelworks, Lincolnshire's land girls and the fishing industry. So quite an eclectic mix there, Hugh.
Very important, very locally, very important, all those three things, the way they complement each other.
Yes.
Don't want to go without mentioning a great hero of mine, the music, Bob Marley. His music, sadly, he's not available anymore, but his music on May the 12th at the Embassy Theatre in Skegness.
That's right.
All the usual hits that you could get. I just want to assure you that I did shoot the sheriff, but I did not shoot the deputy.
Waiting in Vain is my favourite Bob Marley track.
Thank you very much, Luke. Here's Jack with all the sports.
We'll start with Rugby League, and the kick-off time for Hull FC's forthcoming Challenge Cup game has been confirmed. The sixth-round trip to Featherstone Rovers will take place on Thursday the 10th of May, with the match getting underway at 7:35 p.m. The Black and Whites, of course, are the back-to-back reigning Challenge Cup champions, having beaten Wigan last year and Warrington the year before. Lee Radford's side will be hoping they don't fall to defeat against big underdogs in Featherstone. There will be older members of the Early Birds who remember witnessing Featherstone's famous victory over Hull in the 1983 final. Painful memories they won't want to see repeated in this year's sixth round. Moving on to football, and Scunthorpe United winger Dwayne Holmes collected 5 accolades at the club's annual presentation evening. The 23-year-old scooped the most personal trophies at the award ceremony in recognition of the impressive season he's had so far. Holmes collected the Ernie Story trophy alongside his 4 other Player of the Year awards. Upon receiving the awards, Holmes paid tribute to former manager Graham Alexander and his successor Nick Dawes, thanking them for their faith that they've shown in him. He'll be hoping that it's not the end of the trophies coming his way this season, with the Iron well in the mix to be part of the end-of-season playoffs in League One. And finally, in League Two, Grimsby Town are gearing up for a big weekend as they face Notts County at Blundell Park. The Mariners could secure their safety in the penultimate game of the season. Town currently sit 5 points above Barnet and know that a point will be enough to secure their Football League status for another year. Manager Michael Jolly has been speaking about his side's chances of securing safety at the weekend.
Well, I'm not going to put a number on it in terms of probability. What I would say is there's still some important work for us to do. We'd like to take care of our own business in respect of we now know that a win in either of these last 2 games or better will be enough for us. So let's stay focused on that. I've said for the last month or 2 we want to improve the level of our performance because that's the route I believe to getting more points. We've made some progress with that, but we clearly have more work to do, so that's the approach.
And that's all from me in today's sports. Back to Hugh in the studio.
Thank you very much, Jack. That's all we have time for tonight. I regret. If you'd like to get in touch with us, then Facebook and Twitter pages are available, or email news@estuary.tv or phone Grimsby 0147231 553, or write to us at Estuary TV, Nuns Corner, Laceby Road, Grimsby, North East Lincolnshire, DN34 5BQ. Until tomorrow, good evening.